In early 2023, videos began appearing on Ukrainian military social media channels, showing a vehicle that confused Western observers who were tracking coalition aid deliveries. 8 wheels. A long gun barrel extending well forward of the hull, moving at speeds that no tracked tank could match across the Ukrainian steppe. The vehicle was not American. It was not German. It was not French. It was Italian. And what was confusing the observers was the gun. The barrel was too long for an infantry fighting vehicle, too large for an armored personnel carrier. The caliber was 105 millimeters, the same round used by main battle tanks. A wheeled vehicle with a main battle tank gun, traveling at 110 kilometers per hour, hunting Russian armor across terrain where Italian engineers had never imagined their vehicle would fight. The vehicle was the B-1 Centauro. Its nickname in Italian service was the carro ruotato, the wheeled tank. To understand why Italy built a wheeled vehicle with a 105mm tank gun, you need to understand Italy's specific strategic geography in the mid-1980s. Italy occupies a peninsula. Its northern border runs along the Alps. The terrain that concerned Italian planners was not the flat Central European plain where NATO's main effort against a Soviet breakthrough was concentrated. It was the narrow mountain passes and river valleys of the northeastern border, the area around Trieste and Gorizia where Yugoslavia, with its complex relationship with both NATO and the Warsaw Pact, represented an unpredictable threat. In that terrain, armored vehicles needed to be able to move quickly along mountain roads, cross bridges that might not support main battle tank weights, and deploy across terrain that constrained tracked vehicle operations. Italy had another problem. Its post-war constitution and political culture placed constraints on defense spending and force structure that made maintaining a large fleet of expensive main battle tanks politically and financially difficult. The Italian army needed a vehicle that could provide tank-level firepower without tank-level cost and logistics burden. The answer was the B-1 Centauro. The development program began in 1984 as a collaboration between 3 Italian defense companies. Fiat, through its defense subsidiary Iveco, provided the chassis and automotive components. OTO Melara provided the gun and turret. Consorzio Iveco Fiat OTO Melara, later known as CIO, was the combined entity that managed the program. The vehicle that emerged in 1991 was built around a single central insight. 8 wheels provided the same cross-country mobility as tracks in most terrain conditions, while offering significantly better road speed, lower maintenance requirements, and crucially, lower weight. At 25 tons, the B-1 Centauro was roughly half the weight of a Leopard 2 main battle tank. It could cross bridges that the Leopard could not. It could self-deploy 800 kilometers on road without tank transporters. Its tire-equipped wheels needed no track replacement, and the vehicle could maintain 110 kilometers per hour on road without the mechanical wear that limited tracked vehicle road speed. The gun was the OTO Melara 105mm rifled cannon, firing the same NATO standard ammunition as the Leopard 1 and the American M60. The 105mm APF-SDS round could defeat the frontal armor of a T-55 and the side armor of a T-72. Against the most modern Russian tanks, it was not a frontal threat, but the B-1 Centauro was not designed for head-to-head confrontations with main battle tanks. It was designed for the same tactical concept the South African Rocket and French AMX-10 RC had proven. Shoot from the flank, move before the return fire arrives, use speed where other vehicles use armor. The turret was a 2-man configuration with fully stabilized gun and fire control system. The commander had an independent thermal sight allowing target acquisition while the gunner engaged a separate target. The fire control computer incorporated laser rangefinder, ballistic calculator, and crosswind sensor. The result was a first-round hit probability against a moving target at 2,000 meters that matched or exceeded contemporary main battle tanks. The Italian army ordered 400 B-1 Centauro vehicles. They entered service in 1991, the same year as the Gulf War demonstrated to the world what wheeled armored vehicles could achieve in desert conditions. The timing was significant. European armies watching American wheeled vehicles perform in Desert Storm were reconsidering assumptions about wheeled versus tracked in mobile warfare. Italy had already made its decision. The B-1 Centauro's first export customer was Spain, which ordered 84 vehicles for the Spanish army. The Spanish version featured minor modifications for Spanish operational requirements. Oman ordered 9 vehicles. Jordan evaluated the vehicle. The export market was modest but significant for a vehicle designed primarily around Italian national requirements. The B-1 Centaur's combat debut came in Somalia in 1993, where Italian forces participating in UNOSOM II operations deployed the vehicle in Mogadishu. Urban warfare in Mogadishu was the most demanding possible environment for any vehicle. The B-1 Centaur's 105mm gun provided firepower that Italian infantry required to engage fortified positions and technical vehicles operated by faction militias. The vehicle's size and wheeled configuration allowed it to negotiate streets that tracked vehicles would have damaged or been unable to navigate. Italian forces in Somalia credited the B-1 Centauro with providing a decisive firepower advantage in engagements where lighter vehicles would have been overwhelmed and heavier tracked tanks would have been operationally impractical. Iraq in 2003 and 2004 brought the B-1 Centauro into a second major combat deployment. Italian forces in the multinational division southeast around Nasiriyah operated B-1 Centauros extensively in both the initial invasion phase and the subsequent stabilization operations. The vehicle's road speed and range allowed Italian patrols to cover enormous areas of the Mesopotamian terrain, responding to incidents faster than any tracked vehicle formation could have managed. When insurgent forces ambushed Italian patrols with RPGs and heavy machine guns, the B-1 Centaur's 105mm gun provided immediate suppressive fire at ranges that overwhelmed the attackers before they could disengage. The combination of gun range and vehicle speed created a tactical response capability that Italian commanders consistently cited in after-action reports as the defining operational advantage of the vehicle. The B-1 Centauro Mk2, entering Italian service from 2014 onward, upgraded the vehicle with a 120mm gun, the same caliber as the Leopard 2 and Abrams, allowing it to threaten the frontal armor of modern main battle tanks. The upgrade also incorporated new fire control systems, improved armor packages, and updated engine producing greater power output. The 120mm Centauro Mk2 represented the final expression of the Italian concept, a wheeled vehicle with a main battle tank gun, main battle tank fire control, and wheeled vehicle mobility. When Italy committed to sending B-1 Centauro vehicles to Ukraine in 2023, the vehicles delivered were the 105mm variant, available in greater numbers from Italian army stocks. Ukraine received an initial batch of vehicles that were integrated into mechanized brigades operating across the Eastern Front. Ukrainian crews adapted quickly. The B-1 Centauro's fire control system was more sophisticated than anything in Ukrainian inventory, and the 105mm gun's availability in NATO standard ammunition solved the logistics challenge that non-standard calibers would have created. Ukrainian commanders used the B-1 Centauro in the same role that had proven effective for the AMX-10RC, rapid flanking movements. Engagements at ranges where Russian return fire was ineffective, repositioning between shots faster than Russian counter-battery processes could track. A vehicle traveling at 110 km per hour between firing positions was a targeting problem that Russian artillery and anti-tank teams were not organized to solve. By mid-2023, B-1 Centauros and AMX-10RCs were operating in complementary roles across Ukrainian mechanized formations, representing a new category of warfare. Wheeled fire support, fast enough to evade response, armed with enough to destroy anything it chose to engage that was not a modern main battle tank frontally. Italy had designed the B-1 Centauro for the mountain passes and river valleys of the northeastern border. The vehicle it designed for that geography was performing the same tactical function on the Ukrainian steppe, because the underlying requirement, firepower without predictability, gun without the weight that makes position holding unavoidable, had not changed between the design brief of 1984 and the battle of 2023. The wheeled tank. 40 years after the concept was sketched in Italian defense documents, still hunting, still moving before the response arrives, still proving that what looks like a compromise between a tank and a truck is actually something neither of them can be.